Hope you're doing well. Our attorney, Richard, he's on his way. He's going to be a few minutes late. So at this time, I do want to call the July 8, 2025 Board of Education meeting for the public schools of Robeson County to order, please. Can we bow our heads for the invocation? Dear Lord God, we thank you for who you are, for your goodness, for your mercy, and for your grace. Father God, we pray for families all over this world, all over this nation, those families impacted by the flood. We just remember them and we pray for them. And Lord, you're still good. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for this wonderful board. We thank you for the public schools of Robeson County. We ask that you will bless us tonight as we have this board meeting. Lead, guide, and keep us when we always serve our students and have their best interests at heart. Thank you for all that you have done. Guide us and protect us. In Christ's name, amen. Item number C, election of our chairman. I do want to start before we open the floor for nominations to say thank you to, oh, I am sorry. Oh, have mercy, please forgive me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So again, I want to say thank you to Mr. Vontae Leach for your leadership, serving as a board chair. You did an outstanding job for us, and we certainly appreciate that so much. And also I want to say thank you to our vice chair, Mr. Trey Britt, your leadership, all the meetings and conversations as we continue to move forward for the public schools of Robeson County. At this time, I will open the floor to receive nominations for the chairmanship for public schools of Robeson County for academic year 25-26. Any motions, please? Motion for the recommendation for our board chair.
Here. Oh, there we go. I make a motion for Trey Britt for board chair for the coming year.
Okay. So we have a motion for Mr. Trey Britt, our vice chair, to serve as chair. We have a second to that motion. Is there any additional nominations? In addition, if not, can I get a motion to close the nomination floor, please? Okay, have a motion. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second to close the nomination floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposes? Ayes have it. Okay. So now, let's take a vote on for the nomination of Mr. Trey Britt to serve as the chairman of the Board of Education for public schools of Robeson County for our academic school year 25-26. Are you ready for the question? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposes? Okay. The ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, if you'll come and take your seat, please. Well, it's a heavy seat.
Thank you for the board members that supported me. I appreciate it a lot. Vontae, as like was Dr. Williams and echoed, thank you for your leadership this past year. Now we open the floor up for election of vice chairman. Mr. John Simmons.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Melissa Ocean.
Got a motion to nominate Ms. Melissa Oceans by Mr. John Simmons, a second by Mr. Bradley Phillips. Any other nominations? Ms. Christie?
I'd like to make a motion that Dr. Terry Locklear for
We have a
vice chair.
second for Dr. Terry Locklear. Second by Dr. Emanuel. Any others? All right, now based on the rules, we would go with voting on Terry Locklear first, right?
Yes.
All right, at this time, all those in favor of Dr. Terry Locklear being vice chair? All those in favor of no? All those in favor of not? Nay? 5-5. I'll break the tie, right? I'm gonna say no as well. All those in favor, well, at this time, we'll take the motion on Ms. Melissa Oceans. All those in favor of Ms. Melissa Oceans as vice chair? Five there. All those not in favor? Nays? Nominate Ms. Melissa Oceans as vice chair. Do we need to be recording these votes on record for Mr. Schwartz is not here?
Yeah, Melissa has it. Ms. Freeman, you have all that recorded, correct? Great, thank you.
Ms. Oceans, you got anything you want to say? Anything?
Thank you for your support and believing in me to carry out this position. And I thank the previous leadership for everything that they did.
All right, at this time, moving forward with the agenda. Next item is adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Ms. Crystal Wandale Monroe, second by Mr. Vontae Leach. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for open session. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion's been made by Ms. Crystal Monroe, second by Ms. Melissa Oceans. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Information items. Are we going to, Dr. Williamson, are we going to skip over these two since Mr. Schwartz is not here?
I think you're here and walking down the hall,
Okay,
but we can.
we'll put him
Let's
on the
move
spot.
on. Let's move on to C and then come back.
All right, we'll move on down to C and come back and catch A and B. Now we have ESSER update with Mr. Richard Schwartz, Mr. Bobby, and Miss Erica.
Good evening, Chairman Britt. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Ms. Ocean and Superintendent Dr. Williamson and board members. Did you want to start, Mr. Schwartz, or you need a few minutes since you're just getting here? Okay.
Greetings. I apologize for being late. I was going through floods on I-95. The U.S. Department of Education has backed down, is the good news on the ESSER 3 funding cutoff. One of the arguments that we had in the submissions that we made through the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction was that the Department of Education couldn't treat the 16 plaintiff states in the District of Columbia differently than they were treating the states that did not sue them, like North Carolina. And the in the Southern District of New York case, the 16 states got an injunction against the U.S. Department of Education to prevent them from imposing the federal funding cutoff. And the Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Justice appealed that to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that injunction and sent the case back for trial to the Southern District of New York. So the current status of that case in the Southern District of New York is that the Department of Education got an extension on filing an answer to the complaint. That answer is due tomorrow on the 9th. In the meantime, the status report that the court had ordered the U.S. Department of Education to submit was submitted yesterday. And the Department of Education does appear to be processing the claims for reimbursement under the original schedule, although they are slow walking it still a little bit, it appears to me. But it's kind of hard to tell because you can't tell what the status of the reimbursement request is completely from what was submitted by the Department of Education. The good news is that some money is flowing again. And so what the Department of Education did last week was they sent out a letter saying, we've decided that we can't treat the states differently based on whether or not you've sued us. And so in order to be fair to everybody, what we're going to do is keep the money flowing for now. So that's the good news. The bad news is that they didn't back off completely and say, we're going to stick to the original commitment that we made and the original extension, which is through March of 2026, for those funds to keep on flowing. They said for now, we're going to treat everybody the same. And because we have to allow the funds to flow for those 16 states and the District of Columbia, we're going to let the money keep on flowing for the rest of you too. So for us, what that means is we need to get our reimbursement requests in as quickly as possible and keep the timetable rolling and make sure that we get all our construction completed before March of 2026 and try to accelerate any timetables that we can. So that's the current status legally.
We just received an email at 5:07. Mr. Swartz probably hasn't had a chance to look at it since he's been traveling from the Department of Public Instruction from Ms. Bennett, indicating what the process is to start requesting reimbursement. So we have written checks that total $2,645,919 that we've already provided to DPI, but we will provide again using the template that they put in the email. That next steps, that's what we're going to say we've paid, and we have checks to prove we've paid that we're going to request reimbursement for. Once we get that reimbursement, we can move forward with paying some of the other invoices that have been incurred but not yet paid, because we don't have that kind of money available in our fund balance. So we will write the checks, get reimbursed, write the checks, get reimbursed. There's not any detail on what that timeline will look like. They don't say in here, once you get it to us, it's a 3 to 5 day turnaround. There's none of that language here. They've just told us to get them the information on what we can prove we've paid with copies of the invoice and check numbers as soon as possible, with a statement that we have to sign attesting that we have indeed paid those funds. And that will be what I do tomorrow. So the 2,645,919 will get submitted again, probably for about the 4th time to DPI. And then hopefully we'll hear something immediately about once we get that cash. And then, like I say, once we get that cash in hand, we'll start the process of paying the other outstanding invoices.
Ms. Christie Fields?
So on here, it says the Snyder request to possible perform the installation of the gear over Christmas break 2025. So we know we're pressed on an unknown timeline as to whether or not we're even going to receive the other funds. How are we going to make this happen?
So, good evening, Chairman Britt. Congratulations, and also congratulations to Ms. Ocean, Dr. Williams, and board members. So, Ms. Christie is referring to a document I placed at your desk. We asked Snyder, to give us an updated timeline as to where we were at with all of the work as of, they submitted this on July 2nd. That was the most recent written comments I've got from them. I've been able to go out to the schools. So yes, our intent at this point, along with Snyder, is that all work will be completed prior to the beginning of school. HVAC, windows at all 3 locations. And this has been an understanding from early on in this conversation, is that the switch gear would not or could not be installed without turning the power off to the school for a minimum of 2 weeks. So our intent is to get that work done over the Christmas break. The switch gear itself, equipment has already been paid for. So the only thing we would incur would be installation costs at that point. And there are various ways that if we do get to a point to where funds are not available any longer, we would explore other options on how to get that switch gear installed in the school.
Follow up, Ms. Christie?
So how much is this, how much would that cost? Do you,
Installation, that is currently written into our contract. We would have to work with Snyder to get that dollar amount.
can you just give me a guesstimation?
If you will hold 1 second, I will. If we hadn't planned this, but Miss Elise Watkins from Snyder is with us tonight. She called me and said she'd like to just come in for support, but now we're going to allow her to answer questions. But before she comes up, again, those of us that have been involved with these projects from early on understand the importance and value of having good partnerships. And Miss Watkins, along with her team who has been on the ground, have been wonderful partners in all of this. Again, we know that they have pushed the envelope to get people on the ground to get this work done, even in the uncertainty of where we were at with payment. So again, if I'll allow her to introduce herself and add to that and see if she has a price for that.
Good evening. I'm Elisa Watkins with Snyder Electric, and I know several of you, and congratulations, Mr. Britt and Miss Ocean, on your elections tonight. I was coming back from another school district, and I knew you had a meeting tonight, so I wanted to stop in and be here for support. Ms. Fields, you're asking about the switch gear. So like Mr. Locklear said, it's been ordered over a year. The lead time on switch gear has been well over, it's very long, over a year typically, since COVID and supply chain. So we do have an estimated shipping date on that. And I checked right before I walked in here tonight. It's still showing an estimated ship date of July 14th, but that doesn't mean we'll have it in possession. But once it gets shipped, it will be stored and you will have that here. So you have the bulk of it. So what would be left, like Mr. Locklear said, is 2 weeks of labor to get that in, cut the electricity off, call the local utility, let them run a electricity cut off and safety check with us while we do it, because putting switch gear in can be very volatile, and that's another reason why we need to do it when it's not occupied. And then we don't want to do it in the summer due to gym floors or types of things like that it could affect. We're also I've got 3 crews wide open trying to get all of the other things installed for you before school starts. And that's the most important thing, is that we have windows in these schools. We have air conditioning in these schools, so they're working properly. As of a few minutes ago, we have 4 air handling units up and running out of the 15, and they're installing this afternoon again. So we're moving along. To give you an exact amount, I'd have to pull that out, and I wasn't prepared for that question, but I will get it so Mr. Locklear can share it out with the board. But we have talked with Dr. Williamson and Mr. Locklear at length at being a good partner is part of understanding when we go through issues like this. And we've been here with you. I've actually put more workers on the job to help get this achieved, with that one exception. But you're going to have the equipment, which is the bulk of it, and you're going to have possession of that. So as your partner, we will figure that out. But the intent has been to do that during the Christmas break, so there is enough time to get the old one out, the new one in, and have all the safety checks that you have to have done. It's not viable in the summer. We've been asked to try to see if we could push the envelope and add it in the summer, but I've got crews everywhere I can to get HVAC in and windows in and other items that are having to be redone. If you've been in the schools, you've seen a lot of work going on at Lumberton Senior. You've got Oxidine and some of the other schools getting windows, so you're having to take those out. So there are multiple crews across your district. And to pull them off of that just to do the switch gear would inhibit the schools opening up with the air conditioning and the windows properly. So we can't achieve that, no matter if we even got temporary air, that does not work, because we would be pulling crews off, taking them away from the immediate work that needs to take place for the children to be able to come back in and learn, and the staff to be able to work in a reasonable environment and teach. But I will be glad to get that exact amount, because when we did a contract, we did just a full contract, an amount that included everything in it. So I will get that for you. But as your partner, I've met with my construction team, met with the upper management, and we'll be here to make sure that we make this happen for you.
Thank you, man. We appreciate all that Snyder Electric is doing for us as well. Dr. Terry Locklear, go ahead.
I have a question. I'm not sure if this is for Mr. Schwartz or Ms. Erica. I was wondering, so based on my understanding of the change that was made back in, by the federal administration earlier this year, we were due like 14.6 or so million. Will we be receiving that amount, or just our outstanding invoices?
The amount's 14,328,382. So it's the same thing. That's the amount we're going to receive, and that is the amount of our outstanding invoices.
Okay.
If things don't change legally, that's what we'll receive. The Department of Education left open the possibility that if circumstances change, they could revisit this. But right now, because the Second Circuit upheld the injunction and sent it back down to the lower court, the chances of this getting resolved in court before March of 2026 are very, very, very small. So very good likelihood that unless the Department of Education tries to play more games on this, we will get the full reimbursement, and it will make it till March of 2026 before this case is resolved.
Are we scheduled to have all of our work completed by then?
Yes, the last thing remaining is going to be the switch. That's going to in December.
Thank you.
Everything else will be done
Okay.
well ahead of that.
Our intent is to have everything up and going, minus the switchgear, like you said, Erica. Before we get this, we might have some punch list items or some different things that we're doing that won't affect classes, but our goal is to have this done before school starts. And like I've said, we've added extra crews on to make this happen, to accomplish this goal.
Is Snyder the only vendor we're dealing with right now?
There's a small amount owed to LL&J, but the work has been done there. And then there's $100,000 owed to M Square for once they complete all their last ticket items.
Thank you.
I do want to recognize Mr. Henry. I missed that. Welcome tonight, and pray that you're doing well. I just want to echo again what our chairman said, and everyone. Thank you to Snyder for your support. It is a true partnership. There was never a point that we got a call, pressure, we need our money. That did not happen. I know personally, at least, that you took a stand for us, and we appreciate that. We cannot say thank you enough. It is our intent, once we get these projects completed, to bring you back and to recognize you as a true partner. But I do want to say thank you so much for your support and standing in there with us.
Mr. Craig?
Thank you. Pretty much Dr. Terry, I think you got this answered. But the switchgear is the only thing, hopefully, in December that will be left to be done. Windows, AC, everywhere else is done, and all that's taken care of. And I know it was mentioned, but one thing about that switchgear, cutting the power for 2 weeks. In August, let's say we could get it done. There's a danger that we've had before, folks, of mold and mildew in these schools that does not take, sometimes it seems like overnight. That if we cut power in August, it would be growing, and we'll be dealing with another problem. So that is a big part, I think, of the reason of waiting to Christmas to do it. And if all this other stuff is done, that's all that's left, it should be fine. And again, thank you, because I've been aware of some of what you've been doing too, but thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, if I may, the switchgear, that is a custom design, correct? is why it takes so long.
Yes, it is. It's custom designed for your location and everything's been sized. So it's not like it's just something you can pull off a shelf. It's had to be built for that location.
Great. And then Bobby, again, and Erica, our extension date is March 28, 2026, correct?
That is correct, but as Mr. Schwartz
Right.
has mentioned, I think if the federal government can find a way to win the lawsuit, they would try to walk it back. So they are giving us all the language to try to get everything completed as early as possible. But that is correct. The original date of March 28th, 2026 is the new extension deadline.
And then Bobby, again, it is our intent and that when we open school in August, all the work except the switch box gear will be complete, correct?
That is correct. So even though this document you have in front of you is from July 2nd, I actually spoke to Snyder's, I guess, site superintendent today, Lonnie, and Lonnie guaranteed me that everything would be done, and there may be some minor details. But in terms of functionality for the HVAC at Lumberton High, there's not going to be an issue with functionality, and the windows will be taken care of as well. There might be some minor things that need to take place, but nothing that's going to keep us from getting our children in the building at the beginning of August.
Thank you.
And also in your packet, I went out today and just took some pictures of the site work that's taking place so you guys can lay your eyes on what's actually happening in the buildings. Also, the site work at Lumberton is not going to impede our summer cleaning. Lonnie is working with the staff at Lumberton High that as he gets a portion of the building open, that those crews will be in there cleaning. So again, the pictures that you see in here today are as of the day around 12 o'clock. And one thing I'd like for you to really pay attention to is the Lumberton High pictures. You're going to see the 4 white pipes.
Yes.
So what we did at Lumberton High, we've talked about converting Lumberton from a 2-pipe to a 4-pipe system. So 2 of the pipes are running cold, 2 of the pipes are running hot, so we can better regulate the temperature within the building and actually run hot and cold at the same time if needed for humidity in the building.
Ms. Christie Fields?
One last question, I'll be done. Lumberton Junior High, we gonna fix their air problem?
So Lumberton Junior High is a control issue. And again, Snyder, even though Snyder did not do that work, that was work we did in ESSER 2, if I'm not mistaken. Snyder is partnering with us to get those controls taken care of. But again, our main priority is what you have here.
Ms. Fields, I do have people out looking at that. Like Mr. Locklear said, we're trying to help with that, even though we weren't contracted on that through this project. We're trying to help with that. So we've got people coming. I've got some people next week that'll be here. And I'm leaving Ms. Setzer with a couple of cards in case any of y'all have questions that you want to ask outside of the meetings. Feel free to call me. I'm an open book. I'm in your county every week. I travel through here all the time, so I can be here. I can answer any questions. I'll be glad to meet with anybody just to address anything that you may have that you don't want to ask out in public. It's fine. Feel free to call me. I have my phone with me all the time because we're in the middle of heavy construction in a lot of schools this summer and colleges. And so feel free to please call me. Mhm.
Dr. Terry?
So was the work done at Lumberton Junior, was it not warranted?
No, so what we did at Lumberton Junior, we replaced the entire system there. They installed a set of controls. That set of controls is really not operating at the level that it should. So one of the things that we worked, or Snyder has partnered with us on, is all of that work that we done under ESSER 2 is to come back and help us with the control function. It's not a functionality of the equipment, it's the controls. The controls are kicking off at times that it should not.
So that wasn't part of the work when they installed it to make sure everything was working properly?
Yes, so the equipment is working, but overnight the control may say, come on at 7 o'clock, and it doesn't come on at 7. So someone has to go there and physically just turn it on. But again, working with Snyder, we're hoping to get Lumberton Junior totally on the same control system that we have in everywhere else where they've done their work.
It's not unusual for school districts to have multiple different things because of your different buildings. That's not unusual to have that. So what your administration is trying to do is accomplish something, standardization. So it does help when you do have an issue like that. So that's why we're trying to help mitigate that. And it's sequencing or some type of programming that needs to take place to get that in correct working order, as far as just so it comes on and off at the right time. And educating the staff so they learn how to use the new system as well.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Thank you. We're going to move back up to information item A with the R.A. Schwartz Honored Educator Scholarship. And I think Mr. Schwartz is going to take the floor.
Good evening. This is a little bit humbling for me. There is an NCAT Endowed Honored Educator Scholarship in my name that was donated by my friends and as a surprise to me when we opened up the Ocracoke campus for NCAT on the opening ceremonies many years ago now. And an Honored Educator Scholarship is something that we hope to have. I'm speaking now not only as your attorney, but as the president of the foundation for NCAT. And I've been the president of NCAT's Education Foundation for close to 30 years. And we hope to have an Honored Educator Scholarship in every school system. We'll be talking to you about that next on the next agenda item. But for now, I'm really excited and proud to present to you one of your finest teachers, Anna Gadauskas, who's standing here right next to me. And she applied for the Honored Educator Scholarship in my name and was the recipient, is the recipient for this year. So this is a scholarship that's granted every year. It's a statewide scholarship. Anybody from around the state can apply for it. And she stood out from among all of those who applied for this scholarship. They asked me to review the final three, and they were unbelievably outstanding candidates. And Ms. Gadauskas is an ESL instructor at St. Paul's High School. She's got her master's degree, and she has a list of accomplishments. It's about 12 miles long. So I'm not going to go through everything, but I do want to share with you a couple of things that she said. So this scholarship that's in my name, when it was given, I immediately decided that I wanted to honor my father, who was a lifelong educator in New York. He was a teacher, and he was my hero. He was a coach, and he was an assistant superintendent and a superintendent, and he passed away 16 years ago tonight.
Wow.
So I'm a little choked up, but I decided that I wanted to make sure that the teacher who wins this award every year embodies the ideals that my father brought to education, which were always going above and beyond and contributing outside the classroom and beyond the classroom. And Ms. Gadauskas certainly embodies that with her many accomplishments. And I do want to read to you one paragraph from three of the essays that she wrote in this competition. She wrote, "My commitment extends beyond the classroom, mentoring colleagues, co-leading professional learning roundtables, and contributing to statewide newsletters. These efforts stem from a core belief: student success blooms when teachers themselves are learners, collaborators, and leaders. NCAT's mission aligns with my pursuit of excellence in teaching and reflection. This scholarship would further empower me to bring in rich practices and inspiration to my students and colleagues statewide." And that is really what this is all about. The North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching exists in order to give teachers the chance to go learn in a space where they can reflect and where they can concentrate on what they want to learn on and get better and become back rejuvenated and enriched and better able to pursue their profession and enrich the lives of their children and all teachers. And so, Ms. Gadauskas, I'm very, very proud to name you the winner of this year's scholarship. And I'm glad that you're a Robeson County teacher. So this is statewide. Thank you.
If we could get the board to come up and take a picture.
I'm extremely grateful and honored to be recognized for my achievements and contributions, and to receive this opportunity to continue growing professionally so I can give back more to my students, to my community, and to our district. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Board members come, let's get a picture and shake hands.
Mr. Schwartz, item B is you as well, NCCAT Honored Educator Scholarship Program.
All right, well, this is a good follow-up to that. So the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching has an Honored Educator Scholarship Program, and we have a goal of trying to get at least one scholarship for every school system in North Carolina. We have quite a large number that have such a scholarship, but Robeson County does not have one. What the scholarship, the cost of the scholarship is $25,000. And what that does is it creates an endowment that permanently will allow one teacher annually to be selected from Robeson County to go to NCAT and take the seminar of their choice. It also provides $250 stipend for the teacher for use in their classroom. And it pays for the cost of the substitute teacher while they're gone for the week at NCAT. And their mileage. So it's room, board, the program, and mileage, and the endowment will cover one teacher a year in perpetuity. So that is that's the whole idea behind it, and we'd like to see Robeson County invest in one of these scholarships. So,
Mr. Chair, if I may, please. And so, Richard, we could name that scholarship for an individual board member or the board as a whole group, correct?
instead of green, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so some school systems honor somebody by naming the scholarship for, some name it for a former board member who's retired, some for somebody who's deceased. Some have named it for a highly respected teacher or community member, and some just have it in the name of the Board of Education for the board to select somebody every year, or you can just ask NDAT to select somebody from among the teachers in your county who apply. Some use it for their teacher of the year as an extra award for the teacher of the year. So there are a wide range of different models that are used across the state for this.
Great. So, Mr. Chair, it is my intent, so we have it as information tonight to move that item next month to an action item. We do manage a contingency fund, unbudgeted money, and so with the board approval, we would take the $25,000 from that contingency so that we can approve that, if you will, please. And again, I would ask that you spend time thinking about who do you want to name it after an individual or the board as a whole group. But it is my intent to ask you to do that, and we have a contingency that we can pay it out of.
Any comments? Mr. Schwartz, I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is federal programs update with Ms. Erica Setzer and Ms. Jennifer Freeman.
Okay. Good evening again. We included an article from Education Weekly, thank you, sir, discussing the news that we received early in July where President Trump told the states he's holding back $6.8 billion for schools. And we wanted to include that information and see if you had any questions and go over in detail what that means specifically for the public schools of Robeson County. So there are several titles listed there. I first want to go over what those are and if our district receives them and what that financial impact would be. So mentioned in the article, there's Title 1C for migrant education. We have PRC 051 and we do receive those funds. DPI had not yet included a planning allocation for us, but we typically receive about $160,000 a year for migrant funding. And we have $40,839 available in carryover that we will still have access to, but we will not have access to the planning allocation. Title 2A for professional development, that is PRC 103. Our planning allotment for 103 was $1,433,788. Then that's the part that is on hold. We have a carryover of $464,819.74 that we will have access to for this year. Title 3A for English Learner Services, that is PRC 104. And our planning allocation was $284,601. And we have carryover of $46,516.87. We also received Title 4A for academic enrichment. That is PRC 108. Our planning allocation was $1,138,812. And we have $290,921 available in carryover. We don't currently receive Title 4B for before and after school care programs. So there's not a financial impact to the district there.
Dr. Manuel, hit your button again, Dr. Manuel.
You said you had carryover.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still in the Title II doing reimbursement for courses taken for people who are furthering their education? Do you still do that?
In a limited capacity, and moving forward until we hear about whether we're going to get this planning allotment, we will not be processing any for this current upcoming school year.
I guess, have you told people that, or has it too soon? Have you
It's
told
too
them?
soon. I mean, we just got the news and we really don't know when we're going to hear about whether we're getting the planning or not.
Well, I know for a fact, and I know it's too soon, that people are depending on getting reimbursed for courses they've taken this summer. So it might be wise to sort of give them a heads up. Now, do you anticipate, well, we don't know, your guess, I guess, is as good as anybody. Do
Yeah.
you anticipate getting this money? And how many staff members with the whole kit and caboodle, how many staff members would be affected if they hold this money continuously? In other words, can we continue to pay these staff members affected if they continuously hold this money?
So by my calculations, we have 20 employees. Were you going to talk on that, Mr. Jamal? Okay. 20 employees,
Is it
and
too soon
yes,
for me to ask that? We all going to get to it or something?
we have 20 employees that we can continue paying for the foreseeable future. In some of the areas, we could pay for the whole year as long as we didn't pay out any other. For some of them, Like for PRC 108, we could only go maybe through December or January before we would have to look for an alternative funding source. So it's hit, collectively, there's 20 employees in certain PRCs in 103, which is Title II, and PRC 051, we could go the whole year.
And 051 is what, title?
Migrant education, there's one person paid for migrants. There's 6 people in Title II, and using the carryover, we could pay the salary for the entire year, but it doesn't leave money for any other expenses.
Title II has some, does it have some central office staff in it?
Yes, ma'am. 6 positions. 104 is 2 positions, and we could get through half the year, maybe through January with the carryover. And 108 is 11 positions, and we could probably get through December with that carryover.
Remind me again, what is 108? I'm
108
sorry, Mr.
is
Chair.
Title IV.
What?
Title IV, student support and academic enrichment. So we use it to pay teachers, guidance counselors, social workers, a total of 11 positions.
May I do a final follow-up,
ma'am.
Mr. Chair? I read someplace that it was illegal, that he could not do this. So maybe the lawyer wants to answer that. What do you think, Mr. Lawyer?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
That it's illegal, that the president could not do this because it was appropriated by Congress?
That is a great question, and I'm glad you asked it because that's what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
So in March, the Congress appropriated these funds for this current fiscal year that we're now in, beginning July 1, not the federal fiscal year, but beginning July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026. They reauthorized these funds for the 4 grants that we have that Ms. Setzer just went over. The 5th one that we don't have funding for, which I think you said was 4B. And then there are 2 other grant programs involved as well. So there are 7 of these grant programs that Congress reauthorized in March at the 2025 fiscal year level. So they reauthorized at least the same amount of funding for this year. These are not reimbursement programs. These are grant programs, and the states and local school systems were expecting to receive these monies on July 1. All right, so this is money that just gets paid out on July 1 that was fully authorized by Congress. On Monday last week, June 30th, in the middle of the afternoon, the U.S. Department of Education, this is kind of reminiscent of the ESSER funding, okay? They sent out a 3-sentence email that said, we're holding back on these funds, and we're re-examining these funds to make sure that they're being utilized consistent with President Trump's priorities. Now, Congress authorized these funds. It's Congress's priorities that matter. And what the Department of Education is doing, while they didn't explicitly say this, what they're actually doing is they are going through the uses of these funds, and they're trying to make sure that there's nothing inconsistent with some of the executive orders that President Trump has issued dealing with gender identity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, critical race theory, or any of the other things that there have been so many executive orders issued about. So that's what the U.S. Department of Education is currently doing. So they sent that email out about 2:30 in the afternoon on Monday saying, oh, by the way, all this money you thought was going to land in your accounts tomorrow isn't coming. And we'll get back to you later. They haven't said when they're going to get back to anybody or how long they're going to take to do this review. They simply stopped the funding, which is an impoundment and which is illegal. So I think the only thing that's prevented any lawsuits from being filed so far is the 4th of July vacation, 4th of July holiday. I would expect to see some lawsuits being filed in connection with this holding back of funding. Some states and some school systems have already started laying people off. They don't have the carryover money that apparently we have. And there's an additional legal problem with that is that if you anticipate getting the funding and you fill in with local funding and wait until you get the grant to pay it back, there's a potential problem with that because all of these grant funds have a supplement, not supplant clause, which means that you can use these federal funds to supplement local and state funding, but not to supplant or take the place of local and state funding. So if you fill in with local or state funding, there'll be an argument that if you're now using that grant to pay it back, that you are supplanting, not supplementing that state funding. So for those states and local school systems that have already started cutting back or have the choice of running the risk of the supplement, not supplant clause being invoked to prevent that funding from being used, I anticipate that there will be lawsuits coming imminently. The other thing that the Department of Education did last Monday was a couple of hours after they sent that first email out, they anticipated that they were going to start hearing from Capitol Hill, from senators and congressmen saying, hold on a minute, my local school systems or the school systems in my state need this money and they were expecting to get it tomorrow. And Congress reauthorized this money. You can't hold it back. And the Department of Education sent an email out to everybody on Capitol Hill and said, if you have any questions, call our good friends at the Office of Management and Budget. Don't bother us here at the Department of Education. And so every time they've gotten an inquiry so far from anybody on Capitol Hill, they've said, here's the phone number for OMB, for the Office of Management and Budget. They're not answering any questions about it even. So this is another incredibly high-handed, last-minute, heavy move by the Department of Education. And I anticipate it will be challenged legally, and I anticipate the Department of Education is going to have a hard time defending it.
Thank you.
That answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, to Dr. Emmanuel's point, we have not said anything to any of our employees. We're realizing that we do have some carryover with that. We're going to watch it day by day. We will get to a point, it's a little early, that if we need to send some type of notification, we will. In the meantime, we are going to look for other fund sources if we have to. We have not really heard anything from DPI yet in terms of what they're going to do. But to answer your question, we have eyes on it. We will make sure that if we need to alert people and inform them, we will in plenty of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Craig?
Thank you. Along with Dr. Emanuel's question about staff, how does this affect actual programs? If the money, with what's going on with kids, how would it affect them?
Good evening, Chairman Britt. Congratulations. Superintendent Dr. Williamson, Melissa Ocean. Ms. Ocean, congratulations as well. As far as the program, without funding, the programs will cease unless the district makes a decision to look at the needs of students. The programs are designed to meet the needs of special needs students. When you look at the migratory program, we have around 150 students that qualify for migrant. And those of you that may not know what migrant is usually they work in the fields or on the farms, and they work in local businesses, usually farms. We've been steadily recruiting in the area with our recruiters. So we have grown, and we anticipated this year having a larger budget for migratory education. In terms of ESL, I can't answer that because we do get state funding with that as well. We get so many positions with state, and what we do is because we had a large growing population that has grown over the past 7 years since I began here, we ended up supplementing those positions as well out of Title I. So migrant is very evident that without that funding, that program would not exist. But with ESL, there is state allotted positions. And to my knowledge, Erica, you haven't heard any change about those state allotted positions. What we would have to anticipate is from the federal perspective, because the enrollment here in this district is truly somewhere between 28 and 29% for populations Latino background. For that ratio to continue to be where we are, one would think we may continue with that number of teachers that we fund out of Title I, because that is about a fourth of our population of our students. So again, there's not been conversations. We've been looking at that. We anticipated we did receive an allotment. So we've had conversations in the department and with cabinet about the continuation and how that might look. But at this time, I could say definitely the migratory program would not occur in this district unless the district voted to support those students. And that is a decision that is above and beyond my scope of work at this time. I think that's a collective decision. But I would like to challenge the district that I do have this opportunity. They are all students of the public schools of Robeson County.
Great.
One follow up. Not knowing how y'all did it, but between Ms. Jennifer, Mr. Zach, Ms. Erica, thank you for having these carryovers. We didn't expect this, but actually having this carryover right now for the time being will at least, I'm going to say, save us, for lack of a better term. Thank you for that.
Any other comments? Ms. Freeman, Philip, thank you for what y'all do. All right, moving on to the next item, information item is ECOT services with Dr. Wendy Dorsey-Carr.
Good evening, Chairman Brick. Congratulations. Congratulations, Ms. Ocean, Dr. Williamson, board members. Tonight, I want to give an update on our OT services and where we stand as far as OT. We are currently seeking additional OT providers. So based on currently what has been going on, last year we had several OT providers. We had a district OT provider for our district. She has retired. We had another company that provided OT. They could no longer provide services. They no longer have OT providers. And we also, so what that created was a bigger gap. So we were already short OT services. We have approximately 309 students that receive occupational therapy services every month. And so it varies from 1 time a month to 4 times a month to 2 times a week. And so our services vary from each child, and based on the current caseload with the one OT that we currently have, last year by herself, she had 80 students. It was almost impossible for her to see all 80 students, and that was with all the other providers provided that we did have. So like I said previously, we had 2 other people or companies that provided services, plus our OT here in the district that we had. And they each had around 80 students and still needed additional services because we could not meet all the needs of our students. When our OT provider retired, we are currently still seeking to fill our district position. We're still in talks with the person that I mentioned before, trying to convince her to come to our district. So even though she is hesitant, we really, really want an in-house OT to help. But even with one OT and plus the one that we were able to continue, that is not enough OT. Based on, we searched multiple places trying to find OT providers, reached out to other counties, asking them about OT providers they used. And unfortunately, that is just one of those services. It is hard to come by. And so what we started doing is looking at what are other options, because we have to be in compliance with our needs of our students. As you know, EC regulations are very strict when we think about OT and making sure that every child gets what they need in order to be supported. And so that's where we looked at PTS, the management company. PTS is able to, based on what we were trying to work through with them as a potential partner with us, get us a OT and some CODAs, which are just like speech and speech assistants to help, and they still would not fulfill all the need if we can't find our local OT and some additional OT because of based on those numbers that we spoke about. PTS also shared that they would be able to provide professional development not only to their employees that they hire for us, and they do seek local employees in the area. They would also be able to provide OT or speech or other service professional development to not only our special education teachers, but also our other contracted providers. Because part of what we have to do is offer professional development to all providers. And so what we're looking at is who can help support and fill in the gaps that we need, because OT unfortunately is one of those services, it is just hard to find providers. And I know Tracy and I have literally gone everywhere trying to find somebody. We, even at the end of the year, after 2 of our providers quit before the end of the year, we had to go with somebody that is providing currently virtual sessions through a computer while another person is doing the work with the child. That is not good service. It is not what we want to provide our students. And so we are really seeking a way to make sure we support the needs of our student in the district, and doing it the best way we can.
Dr. Mayor?
I have several questions. Now, this is the Kelly service. Is this the
Yes, they acquired PTS.
All right, let me ask a question. Have you tried to have a partnership with the hospital? One time when we needed athletic trainers, the hospital worked with us and they trained and they helped us get the training. Have you tried to work with our local hospital or?
We've been trying, so we actually have, we have a
UNC?
partnership. We actually have a partnership with Methodist University.
I mean, the local hospital here. Have you tried to work with them with this?
That could be different because you're looking at a clinical
Setting
setting versus
versus-
an educational
I
setting.
mean, they still have the credentials to train. It sounds like what you said, and I'm not against anything but help children. But it sounds like what you're going to do with the Kelly service is they're going to come in and recruit people and they're going to train them. Why can't we do that?
We're not training them. They're going to hire. They're just a management system that
How
hires.
can they hire them when we can't find them? Where are they going to get these people?
They
when we-
try to search locally, I guess through the offerings that they can provide through professional development. They have an on-site in-house coach so that if you have an occupational therapist providing services to our students who has a question specific to a need or specific to, the realm of OT, they have that coach available to support that person, as well as the district, to support us as well. So, and then the contract rate is much more,
They got to make a profit.
beneficial.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, forgive me.
Well, and yes, Dr. Manning, all of our, so part of the reason why we can't find our own local, and is the rate the state offers us for an OT is much lower than what the contracted service people get. And so, yes, every PT or OT that we have, every one of our contracts, they are making a profit. They are willing, they have some additional services they can provide to help support OTs that get hired through them. They provide their own professional development to them. So they're already trained people, but they get additional support through them after they're hired.
I guess what I'm saying, ladies, help me understand what they're going to do to get people to become occupational therapists. I don't understand how they're going to draw them and make a profit. And all businesses are in it to make a profit that we can't do. I guess I'm not understanding that. You said they will have a coach. Okay, why can't we have a coach? You said they will recruit our local. Why can't we recruit our local? I don't understand. You said they pay more. Okay, we may have to look at paying more. I guess I'm trying to understand what they can do that we can't do, because the people, if they can get our people, why can't we get our people? I guess I'm losing the concept of why they can make it come to fruition and we can't make it come to fruition. Help me understand the golden nugget. What is the golden nugget?
What they shared with us is that most of the time why they're able to get more people is because they have a support system in there that comes out, literally coaches an OT. If the OT needs additional support, they have some. We don't have an OT expert in the district. So we have nobody, like Tracy and I could not assist an OT. I don't have the OT background. They literally have their own staff that can come and support and coach them right on site if needed. They provide oversight and helping them with all their paperwork and all the things that an OT needs to do to make sure they stay in compliance. So what a lot of OTs find attractive is there's somebody that can constantly help support them in their craft that we could not. So even if we recruit somebody, I can't provide those same supports that PTS can provide in that
I
company.
understand, but just one more thing, Mr.
Mhm.
Chair, and I hush. Will you promise to pursue a discussion with the hospital to see if they
Yes.
have any options out there that they could help us? Now, I'm saying that they have a community, they have a part that they have to help the community. And we certainly need that help. They may have something to offer us as far as training for OP,
Yeah.
occupational therapy.
Mhm.
And in years past, Dr. Emmanuel, we have staff. This is even when I was in the classroom, we had OT supporting us that were linked to the hospital, but the retention, we just couldn't, they wouldn't stay because of the heavy caseloads.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Mhm.
will you share that caseload, which isn't, I think the max is probably 80.
The
when it should-
max is 80. That's supposed to be for an OT, and that's currently what every OT had was 80. But when we look at service logs, and that's why we've got to get it much smaller, they are not necessarily providing the hours of service, because if you think about having 80 people a month and they need 4 times a week and they have to drive between schools, realistically, they're not getting those services. And so even, like I said, with this will reduce it down a little for each person, but we will still be short, especially if we don't get our own local OT person.
And I'd just like to add that the 80 caseload is just that, a caseload. That does not include all the students that are being referred for evaluations.
Evaluations.
That in the OT, if a sensory processing eval is requested because autism is a suspected disability, then that's going to require the occupational therapist to perform that assessment. Nobody else can do that. We're having students come in with more complex needs, which include those fine motor skill deficits that require the support of an OT. So that caseload of 80 is just a caseload that does not even include any evaluations that they have to perform and complete to help IEP teams determine if a student is eligible for services.
That's correct. And the management company helps with that work,
They
something
do.
that we can't do.
Mhm.
And as our chair said, once we open school, we don't have the time. We have to provide those services. Also, would you address again what we have in place? We've been proactive.
Mhm.
That's why we work with Methodist
Mhm.
to let OTs intern with us.
Mhm.
Speak to that, please.
So last year they had one, and this year they've already reached out. They have a couple students that need interns. And what we're hoping is that as they intern, that we can convince them to come and work for us. And so we have partnered up with them. I know that UNCP is also starting a program, but it's too early for them to have interns. So we're trying to find local entities that can help support the work and get that population hopefully bigger here in the district, because OT is a big need in the district and a growing need.
Ms. Crystal Monroe.
This kind of circles back to what Dr. Emmanuel
Mhm.
was speaking on this, more about the profit that they're making off of it. I guess what I'm trying to say is the amount that we're going to pay them per hour
Is no different than the others.
It's very comparable to
Mhm.
our current contract.
to if you were to
Yes.
hire someone here.
And I can actually say it's the exact same rate that our current person gets paid
And
per
then
hour.
and they're making their percentage
Percentage
in
off
that
of
as
that.
well.
Yeah.
And actually, our current contracted person charges for evaluations separate from an hourly rate, and PTS
You just
is not
not.
doing that.
Now with this, if they
Mhm.
do hire people, are
Mhm.
they gonna have like a contract where they just can't, so the overturn's not high, like, and just quit?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Craig.
Miss Christie might ask mine, like this $78.99 per hour. That's what this company will pay person.
Yes. And that's
And-
actually less than our current.
So
Mhm.
that's not what we pay.
No, that's what we pay.
That's what we pay.
Uh-huh. I can't tell you what they're going to pay their
So you
OT
don't know what
person.
the company will pay. We don't know.
No, I can't tell you what the company will pay.
Okay. And the 275,000, that's assuming, hate to use that word, but they're fulfilling all parts of the contract.
Right. So
And-
that's based on, because they charge by hour, right?
Right.
So based on the caseload they receive and their billing, that's based on the estimate we have on our current caseload. And what we asked them for is how many, we asked them without knowing that we wouldn't have anybody fill that position currently. We based that on how many people we'd need. So it was 1 OT and 4 codas, and saying that they would serve a certain amount of students, and that would be we estimated the per hour rate based on the number of services these children need.
And the company will in turn go out and find the OTs, or they will find the assistants.
They'll find both.
They'll find
recruit,
the people.
And then we get to approve or disapprove. So if
Okay.
it's somebody that may not meet the needs of our students or anything, then we have still the choice or approve or disapprove the people they find.
I'm gonna say similar to what they're doing, or the company with our substitute teachers. They're gonna go out and find them.
They're going to find
And the training that they can provide, whatever they can do.
them.
We're still trying to find them that would
Yes.
come to us through us, not the
Yes.
company.
The best thing for any of us would be if we could hire our own staff. That is honestly would help us with everything, speech, OT, PT, any of those services. We would love them to be our employees instead of contracted services. Absolutely.
We don't know what the company will pay, but hopefully, well, if their salary is more that they're gonna pay them, obviously they're gonna go with those companies instead of with us. The
Yes,
company.
yes.
But if that gets them here working, then we've got somebody working.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Dr. Carr, you talk faster than my brain can process. If I'm looking at this contract, it says, the board shall be provided 1 full-time occupational therapist and 2 full-time certified occupational therapy assistants.
Right.
But just a minute ago, you said something about 1 full-time and 4 full-time assistants.
So, and I think you have the wrong contract. That's my fault, but it should be 4, same amount. And that was my fault. I didn't see the 2 change, but it is 4 codas, same amount for 275, but trying to get 4 codas because then we have a smaller caseload for each person.
And that was gonna be my next
Yeah.
question, because I just done the math on the 1 and 2. And if we go with 2, we'd be in the same situation we're in now.
Yeah, it's 4. That's my fault. That's
Again, we have this under information to bring it back in August for approval. If you have any additional questions, if you'll reach out to Wendy or to Tracy, please.
And Dr. Carr, just so I'm clear, just make sure we've got 309 students total that's OT. We
Yes.
don't have an OT right now.
No,
in
we
the
don't have it.
system.
no,
And
we have one contract.
one contract that can handle 80, and we're basically behind the 8 ball with school starting in August.
Yes.
Any other comments? Thank you, ladies. Next up is public comments. One. Mr. Vernal Gore.
Good evening.
Ms. Gore, hold on 1 second. You got a timer up on the screen. You'll
Yes,
have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you. I work for a nonprofit organization called Youth Villages that serve youth and families, and we serve this county. Our office that serves this county is from Cumberland County. And what we do is we work with youth ages 4 up to the age of 22. We work with youth that have behavioral health diagnosis, and we help the youth to learn behavior modification skills such as de-escalation, regulation, recognizing the triggers so they can thrive in the home, the school, and the communities. We also go into the home and we teach these skills to the parents. Many times youth may be in school and they may be facing issues that inhibit them being able to thrive in the schools. So we actually address those issues. It's no cost to the school system. It's no cost to the family. It's Medicaid funding. I know there are a lot of Medicaid cuts, but this program is not going to be cut. We have oversight through Benchmark, which is a nonprofit organization to help to monitor services for youth and families. And every week we get updates letting us know our status for this. And these programs are not being cut because of mental health needs for children. This program, it works one-on-one with each child. They have a licensed social worker that works with the youth, We don't come to the school systems, we go into the homes. So we're able to address things that may be identified at school, but need to be actually addressed with the parent and the child. It's a very successful program, 83% success rate for the youth that we serve. It is a six to 9 month program. Many times we have youth that may have to continue services after the 6 to 9 months because they have intensive needs with the family that need to be addressed. If we cannot meet the fullness of those needs, we do actually refer them to other agencies that they can connect with. This program is very successful. We've had many youth every year at our conference to give us information about how it helps. Then we have a Life Step program that serves individuals 17 to 22 years of age. We work with foster care youth that are involved in juvenile justice, youth that may be taken care of by their grandparents. We help to teach them independent living skills, help to prepare them for exiting high school. Many emancipated youth that may not have support, we partner with them. And we have a scholars program attached to that program. Once they graduate high school, they have a mentor the entire time they're in college, and they will have a monthly stipend to support them while they're transitioning to independent living for college. So those are our programs, and I just wanted to share that with Robeson County because we believe in connecting with community partners to serve our youth, to help them to be able to thrive in the school, the home, and the community. Thank you.
Ms. Gore, thank you for you.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items, Old Main Pre-K Meals, Mr. Bobby Locklear.
Good evening again, Chairman Britt, Dr. Williamson, board members. And if I can, for 1 second, Ms. Watkins was able to find out that cost installation for the switch gear will be approximately $78,000. Okay. So we're asking for approval tonight for our child nutrition program to provide breakfast and lunch to Old Main's pre-K program. We're currently providing breakfast and lunch for their regular school children. This program would be housed out of Purnell Sweat. We would serve approximately 35 to 40 children daily, providing breakfast and lunch.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve this for Old Main for serving them breakfast. You said breakfast?
Breakfast and lunch, yes.
Breakfast and lunch.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Vontae Leach. I have a second by Ms. Christy Fields. Any discussion? Take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Bobby.
Thank you.
So that should be recorded as unanimous.
Unanimous. It's all good. Disposal of public school property, Mr. Richard Schwartz.
I'll do this from here and make it even shorter. This is now, the board previously voted to dispose of Shaw Mill Road Lot 95 as not necessary or desirable for public school purposes, and decided to dispose of it under the negotiated offer, advertisement, and upset bid process. We have a negotiated offer, excuse me, for the property right now of $8,800. We are required to offer this to the Board of County Commissioners first. They get right of first refusal, and we're offering it to them at fair market value of $10,000, anticipating that this negotiated offer will be upset in the bid process. So right now we need your approval to pass the resolution that's before you for the disposal of public school property under the negotiated offer and advertisement and upset bid process, and to offer it to the county for $10,000. We'll change the name of the chairman on the documents that are in front of you, but we didn't know who the new chairman was going to be when we prepared these documents. The negotiated offer, advertisement, and upset bid process, just to remind you, is we negotiate an offer, then we advertise it for upset bids, and the upset bids have to meet a certain percentage amount with deposits, and we keep that process going until we don't get any more upset bids, and then it comes back to the board for approval. And at that time, you can either accept the final bid or not accept it. That's always up to you. So this is ready for approval of the resolution and the presentation to the county for an offer of $10,000.
I got a motion by Mr. John Simmons, a second by Mr. Henry Brewer. Any discussion? Take a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Next item is budget amendments 24-25. Oh, sorry, skip one. Sole source N2Y unique learning, Ms. Erica Setzer.
Good evening again. You should have in your packet information on N2Y Everway extended content licenses for all subject areas for self-contained EC classes for $64,767.21 payable from PRC 131 textbooks and digital resources.
Dr. Meek.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the sole source NY2Y unique learning.
I have a motion by Dr. Emanuel, a second by Mr. Henry Brewer. Any discussion? Mr. Terry?
So if I look at the actual quote, there's a line here in the first line that says Polaris 10 student seats. It looks like some kind of license, $4.99 each. What is that?
So Polaris is a part of Unique Learning. It is the progress monitoring piece of the curriculum. So within Exceptional Children's, part of our responsibilities is to progress monitor our students to ensure that they're making growth towards their IEP goals. And that Polaris directly links to Unique Learning for the curriculum part. It reports over to Polaris and it helps track that data for student outcomes.
Okay, but I'm wondering why, so what the 10 students?
So there may be a quantity out to the side. Yes, so the quantity of
38. So you have to buy them
38.
10 per.
Yes, 10 per seat.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any more discussion? We've got a motion by Dr. Emanuel, second by Mr. Henry. All those in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. Ms. Setzer, next up, budget amendments.
Yes, sir. You should have had in your packet budget amendments for state, local, capital outlay, and enterprise funds, and I can answer any questions anyone has at this time.
Ms. Christie Fields?
On the, it's going to start with budget code 2.3250. Under the line item for stipends, it's $50,400. What is that covering?
I can get that information for you. I'm thinking that is the principal stipend we pay for relay that we normally use 031 for. And then, but 031, all the funds, basically all the state funds ran out of money at some point in June. So we had to start using local funds to pick up that cost, but I'll verify that. But that's originally what I'm thinking it is.
Need a motion? I got a motion by Mr. John Simmons, a second by Ms. Melissa Oceans. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All opposed?
Okay.
Thank you.
Should announce that.
Monthly financial report, Ms. Erica Setzer.
And again, the monthly financial report was included in your packet, and I can answer any questions anyone has about that document at this time.
Mr. John Simmons. I got a motion by Mr. John Simmons and a second by Ms. Melissa Oceans. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, Dr. Emanuel has a question.
I know it's the end of the year and it's a hectic time for you. Did everything go well? Did you have any outstanding things that you had a heart attack over?
No, I didn't have any heart attacks, but I mean, it was as expected. We reached use of all the state funds. So, you know, by law, we're required to use all state and federal funding first before local, and we did that. We closed That process is not as seamless as it used to be with a lot of changes with DPI, but we had a successful close. And it, like I say, no heart attacks to speak of. We were aware of everything that was going to happen and prepared for it.
So you're still standing?
I'm still here, still here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, I have a motion on the floor from Mr. John Simmons, a second by Ms. Melissa Oceans. All those in favor? Opposed? 11-0.
Thank you.
Ms. Erica, appreciate all you do.
I move that the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robeson County go into closed session for the purposes of discussing certified and classified personnel, North Carolina General Statutes 143 through 318.11A1 and 6, and to consult with the attorney retained by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the Board of Education for the Public Schools of Robeson County, North Carolina General Statutes 143 through 318.11A13.
I have a motion by Ms. Melissa Oceans, a second by Mr. John Simmons. All those in favor? Unopposed? Closed session. I got a motion on the floor to come out of closed session by Ms. Melissa Ocean, a second by Mr. Vontae Leach. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Unanimous. Unanimous. I need a motion to approve the personnel report as presented. I got a motion by Mr. Vontae Leach, a second by Mr. Craig Lowry. All those in favor? Unanimous. Motion to approve closed session minutes of June 10, 2025. Motion has been made by Ms. Melissa Ocean, second by Ms. Crystal Monroe. All those in favor? Unanimous on that. Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, before we do that, I do want to announce, and you did approve, a new principal for Parkton Elementary. Ms. Christy West is going to retire. We certainly thank her for her service. The acting AP at Parkton, Miss Christie, I've been killing it all day. Miss T for short, but say how? Yeah. We're making a recommendation to serve as principal. That would be an initial 2-year contract. We will invite her to join us in the August board meeting so you can meet her, but we'll make that announcement.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was already included in the personnel report.
Just need a motion to adjourn. Motion has been made by Ms. Melissa Ocean to adjourn, second by Mr. Craig Lowry. All those in favor?